So I know that I usually start my videos off with just like little goofy bloopers that I find when I'm editing, but I thought that today it was important to start this off with a disclaimer that this video is just me and my personal experiences. The things that I've gone through and my experiences are not the same for everyone and every person in this community. And while I do appreciate you guys wanting to know more about me and my story, I also think that it's important for you as viewers and me as an individual to understand that everybody has different opinions and emotions and experiences in this community, and I think that it's important for everyone to get to know other people and their own experiences. Some people have a hard time talking about them, some people don't. If you're someone who's part of this community and you are comfortable talking about your experience, feel free to leave it in the comments or message me on Instagram. I would love to get to know more people in this community. This is just my personal experience and my personal story, and yeah, let's get into it. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Allie. If you're new here, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you for not being sick of me yet. So today's video was one that I have been wanting to sit down and record for a while, and has become one that has been requested of me a few times just out of pure curiosity because it's noticeable in some videos, and I think I've brought it up at this point before, so I figured it would just be a nice way for you guys to just get to know me and my personal experience a little bit better. I am deaf. I wear hearing aids. I wear bilateral hearing aids, so I thought I would just sit down and kind of do a general explanation of me and my hearing loss and just a little bit about the community that I'm a part of. So starting off, I am deaf, but I am deaf with a lowercase d. There is a difference between being deaf with a lowercase d and deaf with an uppercase D. And some people will also use lowercase d deaf and hard of hearing in the same range. The simplest way I feel like to explain it is deaf uppercase D is someone who is deaf and their main form of communication is usually sign language. They aren't necessarily someone who uses speaking as their way to communicate. They are someone that majority uses sign language, whereas lowercase d deaf and hard of hearing, while you can use sign language, people on that end tend to use speaking majority more than sign language. That's a general explanation. People have different opinions about that. So again, if you are someone on the other end of the spectrum and you are uppercase deaf, feel free to leave your comments, questions, opinions. I'm more than open to them, but I feel like that's usually the simplest way to explain it to people. Usually most people, the first question they ask me is, how long have I been deaf? And the simple answer to that is my whole life. My hearing loss comes from two separate places. So my mother is also deaf. She is lowercase d deaf, hard of hearing, wears bilateral hearing aids. So I have a little bit of genetic hearing loss from my mother. I also have a whole nother situation. But a breakdown of my hearing is my right side, I am 85% deaf, and my left side, I am 45. So my left ear is my better ear. I hear better on that side. And so my left is mainly just the genetic hearing loss. My right, and the reason why I'm so much more profoundly deaf on my right is because I have what is called cholesteatoma. Big science word, I know. The simplest way to explain cholesteatoma is basically like scar tissue. You know, like if you're an athlete and you injure your knee or your elbow, your body builds up scar tissue to help repair things. So basically, cholesteatoma is scar tissue in your ear, but it's very aggressive scar tissue. It's not nice scar tissue. Super aggressive, it's very fast going, and it's very hard to get rid of. So my cholesteatoma, because it's big and mean, this is a general overview of what the inside of your ear looks like, and you have your three middle ear bones. My cholesteatoma disintegrated all but half of one of my three middle ear bones. So out of all three of them, I have half. So I don't have any way for the sound to come in the front of my ear and make it to my eardrum. That's why I'm so profoundly deaf on my right, is because there's no bridge to bring the sound from the front to the back. I have had many surgeries to fix this problem, but with cholesteatoma being so aggressive and so fast growing, if you leave even just a half of a cell of this behind, it will regrow itself. So I would say that all in all, I've probably had about 5 full-out surgeries where I've had to go to a hospital and be put under anesthesia. I've had it probably removed about 5 times that way. I have to go to my ENT every 6 months to help monitor everything and keep it so that I don't have to go have surgery all the time. And every time I am at my ENT's, I go get put in a separate room and he sits there with a vacuum and vacuums out as much of it as he can every time he's in there. So basically, when it's me in need of surgery, it's because it's big enough or in a spot that it's physically causing me pain for him to do it when I'm not under anesthesia. If the volume changes right here, it's because I'm taking these out and I have no idea how loud I'm speaking anymore. Bear with me. But these are my hearing aids. Can I beauty guru this? So my right side is this one because my right ear is my worst. It needs a more powerful hearing aid. So my right hearing aid is longer and bigger than my left. Most people like to match their hearing aids to either their skin or their hair color to make them less noticeable. I got these, I want to say when I was like 11, like very early middle school, and my favorite color is purple. So I just decided to get purple. But if you get them to match your skin tone or your hair color, there's nothing wrong with that. It's whatever makes people comfortable, and I just personally liked having a fun color of them. So the very first surgery that I had to remove my first round of cholesteatoma was by far the most in-depth surgery that I've had since then. I'm gonna put a trigger warning just for like mild surgery detail descriptions. I'm not gonna like go super into depth, but I will put a timestamp if you are not cool with hearing descriptions of surgeries. I'll put a timestamp so you can just skip this section. My first surgery to remove my first round of cholesteatoma, I basically had my whole external ear like removed from my body. I have a scar that runs from about, I'm trying to feel it, about like right here in my hairline, and it goes all the way down my ear and ends about right here just behind my earlobe. So I have a big C scar like this because where my cholesteatoma mainly was right behind my mastoid bone. And your mastoid bone is basically this bone that kind of like connects your ear to the back of your skull. So they needed to get in behind that bone. So they basically cut my ear like this so they could bend my external ear forwards. So I had a little bit of a shaved head on that side for a while when I first had it done. I had to wear this weird little plastic cup on the side of my head so I didn't like whack it on things. So far I've been lucky enough that none of my surgeries following this have had to be that in-depth. They've been able to just put me under anesthesia and just go in through my ear canal and get things out. The scariest thing that has come from my surgeries is at one point, I believe it was my second major surgery for my cholesteatoma, I almost had facial paralysis on the right side of my body because your facial nerve runs right through your ear canal. And the way your nerves are is it's basically like if this was your nerve, basically all your nerves run through straws. So as weird as this look, your nerve and it goes through a straw. And basically my cholesteatoma, because it's so mean and aggressive, just ate the straw off of my nerve. So I just have a plain nerve. Luckily, cholesteatoma isn't something that can eat my entire nerve, so I don't have to worry about my cholesteatoma destroying my nerve itself. But my ENT noticed that I had cholesteatoma just coating my nerve, and as he was trying to get it off, your nerves are like rubber bands, and so when you like pull on it, your nerve will go like this because your body doesn't want your nerves to break. So they have elasticity so that hopefully they don't break as easily. So he's pulling on my cholesteatoma like this, and he 100% thought that he broke my facial nerve. And I distinctly remember waking up halfway through surgery, being like half awake, not all awake. They woke me up enough that I could like communicate with them, and all I remember was him asking me to like smile and blink my eyes and pucker my lips because he 100% thought that he had broken my facial nerve and gave me facial paralysis. And I was about 15 years old at that time. I find it funny because I deal with things with humor. When I was in recovery and he came to check up on me and I was like, hey, did you wake me up halfway through? Was I dreaming or did that happen? And he was kind of like, I was kind of hoping you wouldn't remember that. It's not like weird doctor negligence or anything. I've been going to the same ENT since I was about 3 years old. My mom always jokes that I'm gonna have to invite this office to my wedding because they've watched me grow up and they know me so well. But I have a lot of love for him. I went to a different ENT prior. I started with the one I'm at when I was about 3. I went to one prior, and basically the doctor I went to beforehand is the reason that my cholesteatoma got so big and so out of control, because he was not doing his job and looking into things enough. He just kept saying that I had ear infections and was just treating me for ear infections instead of taking a deeper look and noticing that I had cholesteatoma. Because the ENT that I go to now, when he did my first surgery round, I'm gonna brag about, because if I had to go through so many surgeries, I'm gonna brag about it. He told me that I have the biggest cholesteatoma that he's ever seen or ever removed. So I hold a record in that office and I take pride in that. Again, I deal with things with humor. That's my whole thing, is nerve damage and cholesteatoma, just plain nerve damage. And that basically brings me to prevention. How do I keep my cholesteatoma from getting bigger? Yeah, I make my 6-month appointments and he goes to monitor it. What do I do in the meantime? Basically, if I am on a boat that crashes, I am screwed. I cannot have any sort of contact with water like on my head. If I go to the beach, I'm fine to just wade through the water or sit down, be anything that's like up to my waist, but I cannot in any way have water on my head. There's no swimming underwater, anything. I don't remember how to swim anymore because I just avoid it. If I go to a pool party or the beach or something, I'm gonna be 22 years old with water wings. I always have a pool noodle, something, because I cannot in any way have water on my head. I have to make sure that I tell my friends, like, hey, just a reminder, can't get my hair wet, so if we're doing a water balloon fight or something, don't aim at my head. If somebody has squirt guns, don't spray me in the face. I have to tell my guy friends to just not be a dick and don't shove my head underwater. But not only does that apply to beaches and pools, it also applies to showers. I cannot in any way get water in my ears. So I have my Aquanauts. So these are little earplugs that are molded to the shape of my ear, just like my hearing aid molds are. And I got to pick the colors. Again, I made these when I was like 10, so I chose orange, pink, and green, and now they just kind of look like tomato soup, but it's whatever. Molded to my ear shape. Again, if my volume sounds weird right now, ignore it. I can't tell how loud I'm talking, but these just twist right into my ear like that, and I have to wear these every time I take a shower. They're not 100% foolproof. Every once in a while you still get some water that leaks in there, but it's definitely better than nothing at all. If I didn't have anything like these at all, I would have ear infections constantly, and ear infections help my cholesteatoma to grow. No water, no ear infections, slow down growth. So that's what these are, little Aquanauts. And I can wear them like to a pool or a beach to go swimming if I want to. I just don't trust stuff enough, I guess. I don't want to take the chance, so I just avoid water as much as I can. And then I think the last thing that I'm gonna kind of touch on, me and the deaf community. So I do know minor ASL. It's definitely something that I've been actively working on, taking more classes. I took some classes in high school, but it's kind of a thing because I don't personally know anyone who is in the deaf community that uses ASL as their main form of communication. It's kind of a thing that, like, if you don't use and practice a lot, it's easy to forget. And I kind of fell out of practice once I went to college because I was just busy with college. So it's been something that I'm working towards getting better at so that I can use it more frequently. I know the whole alphabet. I know how to introduce myself. I can survive in a conversation if need be, but I can definitely be better at it than what I am. So that's something that I've been actively working at. And it's also, other than my mother, I don't have anyone in my life who is any part of the deaf community. I have one friend from college who is deaf, but she is also speaking. She also does not communicate with sign language. So all in all, I don't really have anyone that's super involved in that community for me to relate to a lot, I guess. And I feel like deaf in the deaf community just isn't something that's represented and talked about enough. So that's why I would kind of wanted to sit down and give you guys kind of a general overview of my life and my experiences. And I feel like another big question that a lot of people ask me is like, why am I so okay with being deaf? Why am, like, not self-conscious about it. And I think the biggest thing is I don't need to be, I don't have to be. I mean, my whole life I've had to check the box next to disabled on any application, health form. I've always had to check the disabled box, but I've never felt disabled. I don't look at myself and say I'm a disabled person. I don't in any way feel like it, because disabilities don't make you a different person. They don't make you less than. Like, yeah, I deal with a lot of social anxiety because of this, and especially in big group situations, I deal with a lot of social anxiety. So that might be heightened a little bit more than a normal average person. Normal average people still deal with social anxiety. It's not some new thing that came around just because I am deaf. I've just never felt any different than a normal human being, and there's no reason for someone with any sort of disability to feel less than a normal human being. And I also grew up with a mother who is deaf, hard of hearing, that has also worn hearing aids her whole life. So growing up in that environment, and when it came time for me to be fitted for my own hearing aids, it wasn't weird. It was an environment that I grew up in. It was a normal for me. So going and getting my first hearing aids, I was just like in my head, like, wow, I'm gonna be like mom. Like, I was proud about it and I felt comfortable with it because it wasn't some new thing that I had never seen before. And I think that that plays a lot into why I am so self-confident about it and why I'm so okay with it, is just because a normal in my life, I guess. And then it also helps because I have an older brother. He has grown up in a home with a deaf younger sister and a deaf mother, so he knows how to deal and work around and help us. My dad married a deaf woman, has a deaf daughter. He knows how to deal with us and work with us and give us a good environment to feel healthy and grow. I think my family has been a big supporter in myself, and they have never made me feel weird or excluded. The captions stay on our TV all the time, and they don't complain about it because they know we need it. If we're in a conversation and we can't hear what's going on, they'll lean over to us and tell us what's going on. You know, they know how to help us and make our lives easier because it's the environment that they have also grown into and gotten to know. My boyfriend is a big supporter. If we are in a big group of people, he makes sure that I'm included and helps me when I'm a little confused or lost in a conversation. He knows how to handle big crowds with me. He'll know to go grab my hearing aid batteries when I need to change them when they're dead. It's just nice to have a good support group of people. There are a lot of crappy people in the world that can make you feel less than or weird for having a disability, especially an invisible disability. You know, it's not you can look at us and see that we're deaf. You have to be able to physically see our hearing aids or cochlear implants or whatever it is that you have. I think it's just important for people to surround themselves with people that support them and love them and care about them and genuinely have their best interests at heart. But yeah, I think all in all, that's my general overview of my hearing situation. If you guys want to follow me on my Instagram more specifically, I feel like that is the platform where I am spreading the most information about the deaf and hard of hearing community and like Instagram story articles and things like that. So I think personally my Instagram is probably the best place to follow me for more information and updates about the deaf community area. This is what I'm gonna post for now. If I get a lot of feedback on this and you guys have a lot more questions, I can definitely do a part 2 to this, and I can post, you know, ask your questions on Instagram so I can answer any specific questions that you guys have for me or my general knowledge of the deaf community. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I know that this was a much different video than what I normally do, but I've been getting questions and I'm comfortable enough to tell you guys my general story, so I figured I would get that out of the way. Again, if you guys have more questions, things you want answered, follow me on my Instagram and I can do a part 2 where I can answer you guys' specific questions. So watch out for my Instagram for polls or questions. But yeah, I love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for being here. I love hanging out with you. So if you'd like to follow me anywhere else on my social medias, including my Instagram, they'll all be linked in the description box as well as in my home screen channel banner. I will also have linked down below my Amazon wishlist. If you guys want to send me any books, I would love and appreciate that. I'll do some unboxings for you. But yeah, I love you guys. Please stay safe and I will see you somewhere else on the internet. Bye.